Well, happy birthday to me. I'm 64 years old today, and I just had to have a rant because of everything that happened this past weekend. From Donald Trump at the Mount Rushmore Memorial, the desecration of the four Godfathers, and what happened in my own community with people complaining about what they don't have, and those who are now complaining about all the lack of services and goods and traffic and everything that's been created by powers outside of their control or understanding. And then those who attack me for talking about the lack of understanding of history, not knowing the history, not caring about the history. And I'm not talking about just the gentrifiers. And then how insulted people get when you try to inform them, and how insulted I get when I try to get it when you insult me. Because I don't play that. I'm 64 years old and I don't care anymore. The older I get, the more I realize what was I caring about in the first place. And the saddest part about it, the whole thing, is fighting with someone that you have fought for. I'm talking about sacrificed for, who then gets upset and says some of the craziest things to you can imagine. But I want to get back to that. This past weekend, Donald Trump, who's going to go down as probably in the top 3 of worst presidents we've ever had, ever. He's going to be, I mean, just depending on how you judge it, they're going to talk about how bad he was at some point in time in the future. Not the people now, because 36% of the people in this country are so racist that they don't give a damn how bad someone is or how messed up they are. They just like their racism. That's historic. I mean, that's the reality. That's always the way it's been. I always tell people, I said, you do realize that if there were a Jesus Christ, 33% of the people out there would hate the fact that he even came. And if he did, he's healed the sick and raised the dead. The dead he raised would have been the wrong ones, and the wine he changed would have been the wrong color. I mean, that's the reality. 33% of the people, at least, are damn fools. They don't care. They like what they like, and they don't like everything else that's not what they like. Right or wrong, mostly wrong. That's the way it fits. So 36% of the people in this country are still believing that the crap comes out of this con man's mouth, and while they're doing it, he's killing them. That's the sadder part, is he's lying to them and killing them at the same time. This is one of the worst cons in the history of all mankind. He's lying to them about a virus that doesn't give a damn about your lives. It didn't care about your politics. It didn't care about your borders. It didn't care about any of that. It's science. It's like, we gonna kill you, and you can act a fool if you want to. So people went out there this weekend and didn't wear a mask, and we behind you 100%, and then they're gonna go back home and kill other people. And people are good with it. But further than that, it was the people who seriously told those who were indigenous, or the first settlers of that area, because there are no indigenous people. That must be understood. Everybody's a migrant. Everybody on this planet has migrated from somewhere else, most likely Africa, Nubia, Ethiopia, the land where we all came from, where we saw Lucy up in the tree from 5 million years ago. That's science. But the later colonizers told the indigenous people to that area, the earliest settlers, go back to where you came from. Do you know anything about history? And I've heard that said several times. So I'm looking at people, Euro-Americans, let's start doing that one, who don't know any history and were never forced to learn any, because that's white America. Telling people who lived on the land they're sitting on, who have a Supreme Court case that says that's their land, to go back to their land. And then I don't even know what category to put Trump into anymore, because of the amount of things that he has said and done that have been wrong, a man who said he's never read a history book, that he didn't study history, continue to espouse things that other people go, yeah, well, that makes sense. Bruh, y'all know any history? Nope. Nope, they never studied history, and the history they did give, that they were given, was wrong. It was tainted, and written by people who were allowed to write history books that had nothing to do with the winners. South Dakota wasn't a Confederate state. Why y'all running around with traitorous flags? Why y'all running around with flags with Confederacy and Nazi flags, and y'all don't see nothing wrong with that? And that goes back to what happened here this weekend in my own neighborhood. Y'all don't see nothing wrong with that. You don't know who fought, what the fight was about. The fact that fight that you're fighting now was fought before, that there was a Supreme Court case that said, you don't know anything about any of that. And the same scenario happened right here because people were complaining about how bad it was, fireworks in the neighborhood. See, we don't live in a city. We live in what is called the extraterrestrial jurisdiction of Austin, which means we live in an area that has no governmental controls from the city, yet they oversee us. They use our numbers to go out and get money to help the poor that we never see. And since we have no voice, we can't even complain about it. So for us even to go downtown or go to the commissioner's court doesn't do any good. Even the county commissioners don't have to listen to us because someone said there's power in numbers. I said, yes, but the power of the numbers lives in the city, not in the county. There are more people living in the city proper than there is in the county where we live. So when they speak, they let you listen to them. They don't ever listen to what happens to us. And that was the conversation I started with. And I said the reality is, if we were an incorporated area, if we incorporate ourselves into a city, we might be able to create something from a municipality standpoint and actually fight for ourselves. Because a woman was literally jumped out. She said the HOAs need to join up and they need to go down there and list the demands. I said, HOAs? There's not a government entity anywhere in this country that listens to an HOA. I don't give a damn, especially if you're out here in an unrepresented, undercounted area. I don't give a damn about your HOA. And that's exactly what they've told us. But even more so, what pissed me off even more than that was the fact that this woman, a black woman, who's been living out here for years, said something that damn stupid. They just need, they just need, not we, they just need. So I went into a schooling process, and understand, I'm a former school board member, and I ran for county commissioner. And she said, well, I see why you lost the county commissioner's race. I said, no, you don't see why. Because what you don't understand is the Democratic Party, it ain't going to let nobody on the county commissioner's court, city council, anybody else. They don't want there. Up to and including in Travis County, where they will switch votes, have been known to switch votes, and people brought lawsuits, and they're still in court about it. That ain't going to happen. The Democratic Party is just like the Republican Party. That's the other issue we have. And I say just like it, and people argue, oh, Donald Trump's terrible. I said, really? So you think that Joe Biden is going to help me? Well, Donald Trump's a shit show. I said, you're absolutely right. He's a shit show. But the Democratic Party is also a shit show. Evident by the fact that everywhere Democrats are in charge, every major metropolitan area, we are suffering. And this ain't a Candace Owens piece. Candace Owens is full of shit. I had to jack her brother up on that nonsense today. I said, Candace Owens is a serious con woman who herself used her color, her race, to go out and get money and then pull the ladder up behind it and said there's no racial issues. So I'm not allowing for the Candace Owens conversation to come in, because if you don't understand, speaking about racial issues from the it's only Democrats' fault, that ain't going to work either. It's both their faults. Collectively, this country has a Republican, Democrat. It has a two-party system problem. Always has since the beginning when they first started that nonsense. There should be no parties, and everybody knows it. But that's not the way, because allowing for binary process means that we can separate and win, the way we want to, keeping white supremacy in place. So what happens in my neighborhood this weekend, the conversation we had, was we just need to get ourselves together, list the demands, and everybody march on the county commissioner's court. I said, well, hold on a second. That's been done. That's the history. It's been done. I've gone down with a group of individuals. We made demands. We screamed and yelled. Then reports come out and say, by the way, if you're in the ETJ, if you're in a uncontrolled area, understand you're in Texas and they don't give a damn about what you do. They've got the court set up to make sure you suffer. They've got the politicians made up to set that you suffer. They could do something about it, but they won't. So what you're up against is that conversation on a continual basis, fighting uphill. I said, and here's the sad part, because I fought for you even when you didn't know I was fighting for you. Because I don't suffer the way you suffer. I got mine. I'm good. But I don't want my kids to suffer. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want to see anybody suffer by governmental regulations and what happens in our community. ETCQ, the environmental protection nonsense, all that's bullshit. All that was set up to make it look like they were doing something, that you had a way of going to complain about something that was going to be, and none of that's, all that's nonsense. We don't have health care in our community. I said nothing happened. We went down and complained about it at the county commissioner's court. They controlled their budget, and they didn't do a damn thing. I said nothing changed until me and my wife and another lady filed a lawsuit, and we got their attention. Because no one once had to fight out a lawsuit where you actually have depositions where I can go open up your books and say, let me see where all the money's going. That's what happened. Not all the rest of that crap. That's what happened. Not a whole bunch of us ran down to city council and raised our voices and pointed our fingers and yelled and screamed, because that's what they do at city council, county commissioners court, boards and commissions, and everywhere else. We think that we have the power to go down and change minds, and the back door deal was already done before you walked in the door. We need to get smarter and stop fighting for people who fight for you. Because unlike the rest of them, I got long enough arms to box all of you. Left, right, indifferent, and stupid. I don't play with none of you. If you step out here and your shit ain't on point, I'm gonna chop you up. I don't care white, black, or indifferent, brown, that don't mean jack to me. What means something to me is when I see you cutting for kids. When I see you cutting for a community, then I'm with you. But if what you're doing is stupid and detrimental, I'm your huckleberry. I'm 64 years old. I live a black life, and I don't play.